Welcome to Sweet Talk SLP. I'm Krystle and I'm a pediatric speech language pathologist. And for today's video, I'm going to go over some tips for working in home health or as a travel SLP. But before we get into it, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, I invite you to subscribe. Also like this video and share it with your friends. Let's get started. As I mentioned, I'm going to go over my tips for working in home health. I am a pediatric home health speech language pathologist. I have worked in home health for very many years. I worked in home health full-time for about 4 to 5 years, took a break from it, and I've been in the home health setting again full-time for just over a year. So in all that time, I have some tips for you. I have eight tips and tricks and things to keep in mind if you are going into home health or you are in home health and you just need a little bit of help and support. I have some tips for you to help out with that. If you are starting new as a home health speech therapist, occupational therapist, physical therapist, or if you've been in it for a bit of time and you still need a little bit of help and support, this is the video for you. So let's get into my 8 tips. 1, consistent schedules. You have to build a consistent schedule for yourself, and not just with the patients that you'll be seeing, but also keep in mind paperwork time and time to prep any materials if you need to, or organize things in your week. When I did home health the first time, when I came home, I wanted to shut everything off and not do any of my paperwork. And then that left me working all day Sunday, working on my notes and my evaluation reports. And it just wasn't a good fit for me and my mental health. And so instead, what I do is I fit it into my schedule. So if my day doesn't start until 10 a.m. with my first child, I try to schedule some paperwork time in the morning before that. And then I also try to schedule some in the evening sometimes if I can, to limit the amount of paperwork that I do on the weekends. So very important to do that. Also, keeping a consistent schedule for the kids that you see. It's good for them to have a consistent schedule, and it keeps you on track with things that you need to schedule around that, especially if you have a new child coming in. You already know what spots are designated for who. I did film a video on how I work my planner and my scheduler, so I will link it up on the top and I'll link it down below in the description in case you need a little bit of help and support with scheduling. Tip number 2 is to really prepare the families and prepare them in the expectations for maintaining a consistent schedule and the importance of it for their child based on your recommendation, whether it's 1 time a week or 2 times a week. You want to coordinate something that works for the both of you. Before we accept a patient, our company will send what the family's availability is. So it might be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And so I make sure that I have a fit for them with the schedule that I have. And then if I do, once I initiate an evaluation, I go over that again to make sure that it's a good fit for their family. Complete the evaluation. If they qualify, go over again the schedule, and then go over any very important company policies. For us, we try to ask our families to cancel with at least 2 hours or more time so that we have time to reorganize our schedules if we need to. And then I also like to discuss frequent cancellations and what could happen. So with my company, if you are inconsistent and frequently canceling or no showing, then there's a possibility for us to decrease the frequency of your therapy and our discharge services because you are not meeting the recommendations that we've put in place and that the doctor also wants for that child. We try to keep our schedules aligned, and I really try to be open with my families, but I put it out there at the very beginning so they know what to expect. And so when I bring it up later, it's not a big surprise. And this is an extra tip that's not included in my 8, but we'll put it within our prepping our families, is that I prep them every morning with a text just as a reminder. Hey, we have an appointment at 10, 11, 2:30 p.m. And also ask a health and wellness questionnaire, a very brief one, just to make sure everyone in the house is okay. Most of the times my families don't text me back, but if they're going to cancel, they do so by texting me back instead of no showing. And to me, that's very important for my time. So that's another extra helpful tip. Tip number 3, be flexible, but don't get taken advantage of. So you want to be flexible with your company when they're asking you to take on new patients, but you want to know when you have to say no, when you don't have the availability. I've oftentimes had to reply back a straight no, or I only have this day and time available, even though, the recommendation for this child may be 2 times a week. And so you just have to have that open communication with your company. You also have to be flexible with your families. Your families are going to ask you to reschedule or move your schedule around to accommodate them. And I do so as much as I can. But when I have a family that is starting to do it too frequently, I start to say no, because I want them to know that our time is precious, right? We have a lot of scheduled appointments, we have paperwork time, and we can't always be rescheduling and rescheduling and rescheduling. So if I do see that happening, I'll sit down and have a conversation and just ask to make sure that the current schedule we have is still working out for them, and that if it's not, trying to find a new schedule for them that would work better so that we don't have to reschedule all the time. Tip number 4, change the materials in your car. It's a small tip, but I find that changing the things that I have in my car, I would say every 6 to 8 weeks at least, keeps things fun for you as a therapist and for the kids. If you're always taking the same couple games, it can get monotonous and boring. I also don't want the kids to expect that I'm always going to take new things, but I also want to keep things really moving and get the most out of my sessions and get the most progress that I can. So switching out those materials every now and then just to kind of keep everything interesting for you and for your kids. Tip 5, very important one, find clean bathrooms. You'll be in your car, you'll be driving, and you'll want to know where the clean bathrooms are. I learned that the hard way on my very first day working home health, working out in the middle of nowhere outside of Austin and needing to use a facility and having to stop at a very small gas station with one of the worst bathrooms I had ever been inside of. So find your clean bathrooms. I use Target. I use a local Target that is pretty central to a lot of the kids that I have. And so their bathrooms are always clean, or the one that I go to. And then it gives me an opportunity to kind of peruse the dollar spot whenever I go in. So find a clean bathroom. Tip 6, know the best coffee shop with Wi-Fi in the area that you work. There's going to be a time when you have a big break because you have some cancellations or some things are going on. And if the place that you live is not close enough to the area that you're at, you're going to want to stop somewhere that has Wi-Fi so that you can catch up on some work. Oh man, just trying to get all these in without my AC turning on, but it's too hot to turn it off. So we're going to have to roll with the AC on while I go over the last few tips. So I'll try to make the rest of this very quick. So find the best coffee shop that has Wi-Fi so that you can work on reports if you have a big break in the day. Or in general, if you know that Friday mornings you have no kids, maybe go to a coffee shop to do your work, because maybe getting out of the house will get you in the flow of doing that work. I like to use local coffee shops. I try not to go to very commercial coffee shops, but you do you. Just find one with good Wi-Fi that you can use to catch up on your work. 7, things to always keep in your car. Always keep some sort of Clorox wipe, cleansing wipe, some sort of cleaning material to be cleaning and sanitizing your toys. You want to keep a change of clothes, just in case. Trust me, we work with children of all ages. I do, 0 to 21. So you just never know. I've sat in dog urine before, kids throw up. Just take an extra pair of clothes, keep it in your car. Hopefully you won't need to change of clothes, but just keep them there just in case. And also an umbrella, very important. If your weather is anything like the weather in Texas, it will rain in the middle of the day when it wasn't even in the forecast, and keep an umbrella on hand. And my last and final tip, tip number 8, is map out your drive every single time. I know where all of my kids live. I know how to get there from every house that I'm at already. I know. But traffic changes. And depending on what city you live in, you just never know. I live in Austin. Traffic changes from one minute to the next. So even though to get from my 10 a.m. to my 10:45 a.m. should take no more than 5 minutes, I map it out anyways just to make sure. So it takes an extra 2 seconds to get it on your phone and just to make sure that you have a decent route to get to that location. You want to make your day as efficient as you can, and if you're not mapping it out and then you get stuck behind a car accident, you've just wasted all that time in your car when you could have been moving to your next appointment. So trust me, map it out every time. That's all I have for now. If you have any questions on working in home health or on the tips that I mentioned, please do ask them in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer them. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, I hope that you'll consider subscribing if you're not already. Like this video, share it with your friends, ring that notification bell. You'll be notified of my weekly uploads. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next one.